make the button in the sidebar have essentially the same effect as this one. What save and new does is just reset the state of this form to a blank note, right? We could, like he said, just reset the form. You just have a method that does that. You could also, if you had used the entire current note instead of just current note ID, you could set that back to null. But all that's going to do, I think, if you don't change the way this component will receive props works, is just clear out the ID but leave the title and body intact. Unless you say, look for that to come in as null, and if it's null, set it back to blank note or something. So you reset the form, right? You actually called .reset on it? So you actually called form reset? Yeah. What'd you do, Naomi?
I'm not sure. It was not that simple.
Okay, it wasn't that simple. So, since the form is in NoteForm and that other thing's in the sidebar, Maniz, what did you? That had to be something from a higher level component, right? That you had to call. And so, what was that? What did that function do? Like up at the app level? Okay, and then how did that trickle down to the form?
It's just basically like, initially I used Redux to do that, but then since we could not do that, I just sent the communication channel up to zero. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else do it another way? Yeah, Jules.
I did from app. I just called save note through main. So I sent the props.save note to sidebar, and then I just used save note on click. So like props.save note. And then I set the ID to null, title, and body. So I kind of like hard coded the empty strings.
Like the blank note
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So we have this blank note method all the way down in NoteForm. We could pull that up to a higher level. So if I take that out of there, put it up in app somewhere. Just put it right after remove note, maybe. And make that part of this note data that we send down through main so that it can get to the sidebar. Oops. Then maybe we do want to change current note ID to current note. And just start it as blank note. And then in the sidebar, we have this button. On a click, could be reset current note, and then we could add that as a function here. Well, and then probably what we really want to do, actually, instead of passing blank note down, we could where's that blank note? Reset current note, or I guess we already have set current note ID, so this needs to change to current note, right? Set current note. We could just have a version of this, reset current note. It calls this dot set current note and passes in this dot blank note or something like that. Or we could have a, if no note is passed in to set current note, if this is undefined, then we could just automatically set it to a blank one. Something like that. Either way, we'll do it. This is kind of nice because then we can just pass that down as a prop instead of blank note. So then this just needs to call reset current note, which will be passed in as a prop, so we need to make sure we break it out here. Which means we need to pass it to the sidebar through main, right? Which has these props, so sidebar then would receive reset current note equals props dot reset current note. Sidebar, too many files open. A little hard to catch that that's there. Okay. So then, again, we have current note, not current note ID. So when we do save, current note ought to already be this note, but we'll double check on that just because the ID changes. Back in NoteForm then, the component will receive props. Instead of comparing this current node ID thing, we can look at the node itself. New note dot ID not equal to this dot state dot note dot ID, and then just make sure that the note is the note at that ID. And let's see what that does. And then we can hopefully get rid of this save and new button. Except we broke everything. Blank note's not a function. Yep. So this, yeah, this isn't the thing anymore, is it? Do we even need state on this anymore? Because it's current note. We already have current note passed in as a prop. Could it just be synced with that? Take that out. Maybe we wouldn't even have to worry about this stuff. And what we could do here is this dot props dot current note. Then we don't particularly need to set state again. We just need to call this, right? I don't know, since it's a controlled thing, that may not work. Don't need this anymore, though. This time, it would be this dot props dot current note. I don't, thanks. I probably missed something there. If we refreshed, we still have some exploding going on. Here, read property title of undefined. Step props dot current note dot title. Yeah, so we're passing down current node ID probably still, which isn't a thing. Inside render main, where we have our note data that we use to pass down those props. Okay. Does this still work? Yeah, I figured we broke that too. So that calls current node ID instead of current note in the list or in note. So that is probably being passed on wrong all the way from main. Whoops. What just happened? Set current note, not note ID. Passing from main to note list. From note list to note. I didn't change the property name, did I? Yeah. Both places. Passing that down to note. And note, that is set current note now, not note ID. Change that a few places. Set current note is not defined in note list. I didn't break it out here in my destructuring. All right. Set current note is not a function. Set current note in here, set current note. So I have set current note equals set current note, which came out of here, up in main. Set current note equals props dot set current note, up in app.js. I still have set current note. Not current note. Yeah, right. So the actual note data, the value of current note, and then the method to update current note need to change how both of those are passed down. Excuse me? Yes, it should. Thank you. Okay, no errors on load. All right, so that part seems to work. What about this button? Hey, it cleared it out. Now, does that actually create a new one when I start typing? I have 3 here now. And it explodes pretty quickly. Cannot read property note of null. This dot state, I still have a reference to state in handle changes. I didn't get all of those. I thought there was no way I did. So NoteForm handle changes. I still have this dot state dot note instead of just note. All right, let's try that again. And now we're back to this trick. It's creating a new one every time I click the button. We do make a copy of that prop. So changes I make are not going to be reflected automatically. So when I do save, up in save note, I do need to set both notes here and current note to this note. Yeah, I think I have it. Do I have it all commented out right now? You're right. Yeah, it's not on submit is not removed here. So we can get rid of that. We did get rid of the button. Yep. So now, does delete still work? Yeah, that seemed to work. Although, look at that. It's refreshing the page. Tappity tappity. Tappity tappity. Okay, that part works. Clicking this. Yep, that works. So what's up with delete? So this is a button now. I didn't say type button or type submit. It might be defaulting to submit if I don't say type button. Pick one of these, hit delete. No longer refreshing the page. So if you have a button with no type and it's the only button inside a form, there's not already a submit button, it will default to behaving like a submit button. So you do need to put type equals button on it. If it's outside of a form, then it doesn't matter because there's no such thing as submitting. So since that works, I think we can get rid of all this stuff. No longer even need to use receive props, no longer need to have state. As a matter of fact, we no longer need a constructor, which the console was warning us about, useless constructor it said. Which means this could have been a functional or a stateless functional component, but we won't bother to change it. But it appears that we could have done that now. But we wouldn't have learned these things along the way. What'd you say? At least till we get to the rich text editor, if we get to the rich text editor. So another thing that might be bothering you, well, I should commit this, right? Let's make sure, yep, everything seems to work as expected. I can delete. Notice that doesn't clear out the form though, right? So that's kind of weird. So delete should probably do that. So handle remove calls this props remove note, which happens way up in app. We remove that note, and then at the end, we should probably call, perhaps after set state finishes. Call this dot reset current note. Click one of these, delete it. It goes away, and our node is back to being blank. We just did quite a bit. Gosh, how do I write a commit message for all of that? That was too much. Yeah, we finished making the clicking things in the sidebar actually work. We made the link in the sidebar actually work. Yeah, move note state up to app component. And all of that implies.